The first time I opened the safe deposit box, I was 42 and newly alone. The vault at the branch downtown smelled faintly metallic, the way old elevators do. I remember how calm my hands were when I slid the envelope inside. Not because I wasn't afraid, but because I understood something clearly. Security is quiet work. It doesn't announce itself. Over the years, the contents change shape, but not purpose. Deeds, a trust instrument, an insurance rider that took months to structure properly, and a letter written in ink, not typed. The letter was the only sentimental thing in that steel drawer. My daughter, Elise, never knew about the box. Not because I didn't trust her, because I didn't trust who she might one day trust. When she brought Daniel home, I noticed the way he listened, not to her stories, to the pauses between them. The first dinner, he asked what I did before retiring. The second, he asked whether I still owned the properties. The third, he joked about future generational planning. It was subtle, polite, always wrapped in a smile. Elise said I was being old-fashioned, suspicious. "He's ambitious, Mom," she told me once, arms folded. "That's not a crime." No, I thought, it isn't. But appetite has a sound, and I had heard it before. I didn't confront him. I didn't warn her. Instead, I moved the only key to the safe deposit box into a hollow place behind the breaker panel in my laundry room. Not clever, not cinematic, just unlikely. When they got engaged, Daniel began talking about consolidating accounts. He suggested putting Elise's name on certain things. He asked whether my will was up to date. He offered to introduce me to his financial advisor. I declined each time calmly. Elise began to withdraw from me in small increments. Calls became shorter, visits more formal. I told myself this was the natural rearrangement of a daughter's loyalty. Still, I kept paying the annual fee on the box. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was folding towels. "Ma'am," the bank manager said, his voice lower than usual, "your son-in-law is here. He's demanding access to your safe deposit box." I let the silence stretch. He says as immediate family and as his wife's spouse, he's entitled to review all shared family assets. He's quite insistent. "I see," I said. He cleared his throat. "Of course, we haven't granted anything. The box is solely registered in your name." But he's threatening to escalate this. Escalate. I had been waiting for this word. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said, and hung up. Daniel was standing at the customer service desk when I arrived. His posture was rigid, polite on the surface. Elise stood beside him, arms folded tight across her body. The manager saw me first and exhaled, visibly relieved. "Mrs. Carter," he said, stepping around the desk. "Thank you for coming." Daniel turned. "There you are," he said, voice controlled. "I was hoping to clear something up. We're family now. Transparency matters." "Transparency does," I agreed. The manager gestured toward his office. "If we could step inside." Inside, the tone shifted. The manager sat upright, professional. "For clarity," he began, "this safe deposit box is registered solely to Mrs. Carter. No secondary authorization exists. No power of attorney has been filed. No beneficiary designation grants access during her lifetime." Daniel leaned forward. "But my wife is not a co-signer," the manager said evenly. "And without documented authorization, we cannot and will not permit access." There it was, authority. Clear, unmistakable. Administrative language has a way of cutting through performance. Daniel's composure thinned. "This is ridiculous," he said. "We're trying to build a life. We need to know what assets exist." Elise flinched slightly at the word need. I spoke quietly. "Daniel, what exactly were you expecting to find?" He didn't answer. The manager continued. "Additionally, I must inform you that aggressive attempts to coerce access may be formally documented. I would advise caution." The room went still. Power does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it sits in policy binders. Daniel leaned back. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked unsure of the next move. "I was just trying to protect my wife," he said. "From what?" I asked. He didn't reply. I requested private access to the vault. Elise followed me down the narrow corridor, heels echoing softly against tile. Inside the booth, I placed the metal box between us and opened it. She watched my hands. Inside were neatly arranged documents, labeled, organized. No piles of cash, no glittering heirlooms. "This," I said gently, "is a trust." She blinked. "For who?" "For you." I slid the primary document toward her. "It transfers the properties into a protected structure. They cannot be liquidated without two independent trustees. You are one, I am the other." She scanned the page. "There's also a clause," I added, "that shields the assets from marital claims in the event of divorce." Her eyes lifted slowly. "I never told you," I said, "because I didn't want you to feel like you were marrying into a negotiation." Silence filled the small room. "And the letter?" she asked, noticing the sealed envelope. "That's for you. Only you. It explains everything, including why I made certain decisions after your father died." She didn't reach for it yet. "So you didn't hide this from me," she said carefully. "You hid it from volatility, yes." Her expression shifted, not to gratitude, not to anger. "Something more complicated." "You don't trust him," she said. "I trust patterns," I replied. Upstairs, I could hear faint movement beyond the vault door. Elise closed the box herself. "He didn't tell me he was coming today," she said quietly. I nodded. Daniel was no longer arguing when we returned. He stood near the exit, jaw set. "We're leaving," he said to Elise, not looking at me. She didn't move immediately. The manager gave me a small, respectful nod, the kind professionals exchange when a boundary has held. Outside, the afternoon light felt almost indifferent. Daniel walked ahead toward the parking lot. Elise lingered beside me. "I wish you had trusted me enough to tell me," she said. "I wish you had married someone who didn't make secrecy necessary," I answered, softer than I expected. That landed. She didn't defend him. "I need to think," she said. "I know." We stood there for a moment, neither reaching for the other. Protection has weight. So does mistrust. As Elise walked toward her husband, I felt no triumph. Only steadiness. The documents remained secured. The bank had documented the attempt. The structure would hold. But something between my daughter and me had shifted. Not broken, not healed, just altered. That night, I moved the key again. Not because Daniel might look for it, but because I was beginning to understand that safeguarding a legacy is easier than safeguarding a relationship. And one of those, I realized too late, cannot be locked inside steel.